All right. Good evening, everyone. Habari Gani to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Phaedra Allen. I am not only just a member of the Executive Board of Directors with the African American Cultural Center, but I have the wonderful opportunity to serve as chair of the programming committee here. And we are so excited that each of you have chosen to spend your evening with us. So again, Habari Gani to everyone. I know for some of you, this may be your first time celebrating Kwanzaa. You're here to learn a bit more about this tradition and what this cultural celebration really is for us. And for some of you all, this is an annual celebration. And so again, we're just so thankful that all of you have taken the time to just join and connect with us as family this evening. So again, this is the African American Cultural Center here in the city of Long Beach. I just want to acknowledge the board who's all on the call this evening. There's many of us here who have really been working so hard to bring this organization forward as a way to honor both the history, the legacy, our culture right here in the city of Long Beach, as well as Southern California and the African experience here in the country. So we are looking forward to 2021 being a year full of wonderful programming. This past year, we were able to bring forth our quarterly community meetings, which was an opportunity for our board of directors to speak directly to you all as a community, to keep you informed of how this organization is developing and where we are in the process of bringing it forward. We were also able to start facilitating our monthly community forums, which was an opportunity for all of our community members to come together and just toss around a topic as it relates to us and our community. And some of those have been voting 101, which many of you know has been a hot topic this past year, as well as Black to School, preparing our children for a very different school year. And we were also again, able to engage the community in discussions around what would you like to see from this center as we continue to build it out. Looking forward into the year 2021, we're actually really excited to bring forth some exhibits. We will be partnering with Forgotten Images to bring forth some very moving exhibits about the African experience here in the States, as well as our future. We want to also have some lectures. We want to highlight some community members here, some authors, have some workshops and classes. And so again, we are hoping to have all of you back again to spend some time with us as we continue to build out the center for you, our community. So with that, I'd actually like to hand it over to Dr. Felton Williams, who serves as the chair of the African American Cultural Center, so that he can just share a little bit from his perspective.
Thank you very much, Phaedra. Good evening and welcome. It's a pleasure to be able to say a few words. I am the president of the African American Cultural Center. It is indeed a pleasure to welcome you on behalf of the officers and board members of the African American Cultural Center. This program is dedicated to the memory and legacy of a true legend of Long Beach, Sakkara Anderson, who has left an indelible impression on the community through her deeds and work to celebrate and appreciate African history. Her work speaks to the core of our work as an organization that is dedicated to celebrating African American history and all of its variations. We will continue to bring you programming that speaks directly to the work of African Americans who have and continue to make contributions to the fabric of this city and beyond, and to do so with absolute quality. Soon, you will be receiving information that highlights the programming we plan to deliver to the community. We invite you to be part of that and look forward to your thoughts and ideas to improve on our work. Tonight's event is rich in culture and history, and we thank you for being a part of it. And now I would like to bring it back our program chair, Ms. Phaedra Allen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Williams. And with that, I don't want to hold anyone any further. We have wonderful, wonderful programming for you all this evening. And again, I personally am excited to get going. So with that, we will go ahead and allow our program to begin. Thank you all for joining.
Greetings, I'm Tasha Hunter, the Vice President of the African American Cultural Center of Long Beach.
And I'm Baba the Storyteller, your local griot.
Habargani.
Ujamaa, Cooperative Economics. That's our day today.
Yes, well, welcome everyone to our second AACCLB, African American Cultural Center Kwanzaa celebration. Actually, our second year, but our first year virtually. And we're excited to have you all here.
Yeah, and as always, regardless of where our Kwanzaa events are held or who's doing them, we always start out with a drum call, which is what you were listening to, and then we move to our traditional libation.
Yes, which is what you're going to see next, our traditional libation. And want to introduce Max and Femi, who held this tradition, and they're going to share a little bit about that, but they held this tradition through the African Study Group for over 30 years before it landed with us. We're happy to be working with them and carrying on this rich tradition in the city of Long Beach. And those of you in this community know of Max and know of Femi and the wonderful teaching and all the love that they give through their shop and through keeping our traditions alive.
So let's enjoy Max and Femi and the libation.
Thank you for that introduction. Habari gani, everyone. Habari gani, Femi.
Ujamaa habari gani.
So, Habari gani is a greeting that means what's the news. So throughout the Kwanzaa period, when you greet someone, you would say Habari gani, and they will respond to you with whatever the principle of the day is. So today, the principle is Ujamaa, cooperative economics. It means to build and maintain our stores, like village treasures, shops and other businesses, and to profit from them together. All of the principles will be explained a little bit later when we do the candle lighting ceremony. So for the first time in the 31 years that we've been having a community Kwanzaa, we are not able to come together physically. And we miss that. We miss the energy that the people coming together bring. So we want to acknowledge that. Usually we come together because we do want to acknowledge all of the great things that have happened with our families and with our community during the year. So we have had generations of people that have come through our study group and have come to our Kwanzaa celebrations over the years. So it's like we've created this bond, and we've created this family. It's like a village. So now, for the first time, well, actually, this is the second year, we have combined forces with the African Cultural Center of Long Beach, a newly established cultural center. So, like I said, this is the second year we've done that, and now we're trying to create and add more families to our village. So, as you know, Kwanzaa is not a religious holiday. It's a cultural celebration that was created by Maulana Karenga in 1966. He based Kwanzaa on the African harvest, the celebration of the first fruits of the harvest. And it's a celebration that's held every year throughout the continent of Africa to celebrate great harvests and prosperity and all of that. So it's a 7-day celebration to acknowledge our African American culture as well as acknowledge our African ancestry. So one of the rituals that is performed during most celebrations and ceremony is the libation. It's a really important part of most celebrations that are held in the villages or in our communities. So Femi is now going to perform a libation for us.
Okay, thank you. If you want to get started by understanding the Kanara, it represents the ancestors. The Mkeka, the mat, represents history and tradition. when we pour libations to the ancestors, we're praising the ancestors, we're thanking them. We're thanking them for coming before us. We are because they were. So one day we're going to be ancestors too. So one, they're not forgotten. As long as we call their names out, they still live. Understand that we pour libation to the first ancestor. The first ancestor is the creator. Ashe. Ashe means let the prayers be answered, or so be it. So you say Ashe after each pouring. We want to pour libation to the first people to populate the entire earth, African people. Ashe. We pour libation to those African people who created civilization when others did not exist. Ashe. We are pour libation to all of the arts and sciences that still rule the universe, created by our African ancestors. Ashe. Norma, T, Shabaka, Ramses, Seti, Imhotep are all ancient ancestors, very extremely creative. We want to pour libation to those who were kidnapped in the Maafa, who were kidnapped and enslaved and forced to repopulate the earth. Ashe. We want to pour libation to Yasentuwa and Queen Nzinga, who fought the enslavement of African people and tried to keep us on the continent. Ashe. We'll pour libation to those who revolted against the slave system. Yanga of Mexico, Dessalines of Haiti, Nanny of Jamaica, Nat Turner, the US, Carlotta of Cuba, Bassa of Barbados, and many more. Ashe. We want to pour libations to those brothers and sisters who were executed, 45 of them. There was the largest slave revolt in the history of the United States. It was called the German Coast Revolt. That was in 1811. Those 45 executed brothers and sisters. Ashe. We want to pour libation to all of the brothers and sisters who were lynched in the United States, especially Brother Maceo Snipes. All he wanted to do was vote. Ashe. We want to pour libation to our scholars, those who told us the truth and showed us the way. John Henry Clark, Yosef Ben Yakinen, Chancellor Williams, Sheikh Aduio, Amos Wilson, John Jackson, Shea Rogers. Ashe. We want to pour a libation to our brothers and sisters who fought very well against the system of Jim Crow, immoral and an immoral system. There are brothers and sisters like Ida B. Wells, Medgar Evers, Malcolm X, Dr. King, Marcus Garvey, Fannie Lou Hamer, and many more. Ashe. We want to pour libation for those who were murdered, but in a racist system. Some of them recently: Trayvon Martin, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Walter Scott, Alton Sterling, Chandra Bland, Philando Castillo, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Emmett Till, Willie Francis. Ashe. We want to pour libation to those of us who were part of our study group, and especially to our personal ancestors. We all need to have personal ancestors. We all African people should perform a libation before your special events. All of your birthdays, whatever situation you have where you all meet, and perform that libation first. Some of our ancestors are Lisa Williams, Kamal Ramsey, Kwesi Asafo, Dadisi Sanyika, James Thomas, Sakkara Anderson, Queen of the Nile, Brother Stan, Mr. Douglas, Shaka Blue, Eileen Johnson, Wilma Maxey, and many more. Ashe. Ashe. We want to pour libation to our children and to those who have yet to be born. Ashe. 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 Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. Thank you, Max and Femi. 35 years of incredible libations, giving honor to our ancestors, and you're still going strong. Thank you so much.
Give thanks. Next, we have Queen Mzuri, who's going to be singing the South African National Anthem. And you may wonder, why are we singing the South African National Anthem? Well, a large portion of a major contribution of their liberation is due to the work that was done here in the United States, particularly in our university systems, when the students sat down and stepped out of classes until the university, particularly the UC system, pulled out of their support for companies that supported apartheid South African. So with that, South Africa thanks the work that was done here on the student level, and the words, Lord bless Africa, may her spirit rise up. Hear through our prayers, Lord bless us, Lord bless Africa, banish wars and strife, Lord bless our nation of South Africa. This is sung in 4 different languages, in Zulu, in Xhosa, in Afrikaans, and a portion in English. So here we are with the South African national anthem.
And as your resident griot, I always want to bring a little local history to bear on why we do these songs and who is doing them. So before I bring her in, we call her Queen Mzuri for a reason. And let me explain why. I'm gonna go back quite a few years to 1992. 1992, we had the LA riots. And during that time, there were many people who fled to safety. They closed their doors and they didn't want to have anything to do with what was happening outside in the streets. Queen Mzuri opened her door and she came out of her home and she went into the streets. And I remember seeing her at churches. I was moving around a little bit at that time too. I saw she was in Compton. I saw her in LA, and she was speaking out about organizing and bringing people together and doing something about eliminating the chaos at the time. So this is a real revolutionary singing this anthem. This isn't just a beautiful singer. So at this time, I want you to enjoy the South African National Anthem with Queen Mzuri.
Asante Sana, thank you. It is an honor and privilege to sing the African National Anthem that was written during the struggle for liberation in South Africa. Nkosi Sikelel' iAfrika. Nkosi Sikelel' iAfrika. Malupakanisu pondolwayo, izwe imitanda zoyetu, Nkosi sikelela dina lusapolwayo, Nkosi sikelel' iAfrika, malupakanisu pondolwayo, izwe imitanda zoyetu, Nkosi sikelela izo rotandolwayo, morana boluka sechabasa Jesu, ufediswe dintwele masweyeho, morena boluka sechabasa Jesu, ufedise dintwale masweye, usibuluke chachaba, sibuluke si chabasa, Jesu si chabasa, Africa, woza moya, woza moya, woza moya, Oh, dingwele kosi sikelela dina lusapolwayo. God bless Africa. Amandla owetu, Izwiletu, Africa, the land is ours.
Wow.
Beautiful. That was beautiful, Queen of Missouri. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And next we have the Negro or Black National Anthem. This is our anthem. And it was written by NAACP leader James Weldon Johnson and set to music by his brother, John Rossman Johnson. And it was first performed at a public school in the Johnsons' hometown of Jacksonville, Florida. And it was sung by 500 school children as they had a celebration for Lincoln's birthday. So with that, we have our Negro or Black National Anthem.
Yeah, and it's going to be sung by Ajamu and Mandisa Burr. And once again, as your local griot, I always have to bring a little of our local history into this. I call people who have fought and struggled in the community and done for others, I call them revolutionaries, unapologetically so. To me, Ajamu and Mandisa, this couple, they're beautiful. They have been revolutionaries fighting the good fight in our community for over 30 years that I've known them. And we used to have a rite of passage in the study group that they led. It was called Ujima Rites of Passage, Collective Work and Responsibility. And besides that, they also did a lot of work. They had a beautiful family. They would be singing at different events and doing different things for us. And recently, I believe they've been very active with the NAACP in the Carson area, which, well, we'll leave that.
You know,
so I want to introduce you to Ajamu and Mandisa, who I call our Ashford and Simpson, the epitome of Black love. So here they are to sing the Negro National Anthem, James Weldon Johnson, for us.
Baba, we need to have them bring back the rites of passage. I think now is the time.
Hotep, everyone. My name is Ajamu.
And I'm Mandisa.
And today we're going to sing for you the Negro National Anthem on this virtual Karamu. For all those who celebrate Kwanzaa, Habarigani.
Emoji.
Now we're going to sing for you the Negro National Anthem. Enjoy.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let it resound loud as a rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Happy Kwanzaa.
Wow, that was wonderful. Thank you, Ajamu and Mandisa. You all see why I call them our Ashford and Simpson of our local community, don't you? I appreciate that.
Thank you. Lifting every voice and singing. And at this time, we want to have a special tribute to our very own Sakkara, Queen Sakkara Thomas, Queens of the Nile. Many of y'all got to know and see
the wonderful work that she did throughout our Southern California community. I met her in Lamert through one of my elders, Ben Caldwell, many, many years ago. And just knowing that she was a Long Beach person. And also Sakkara was implemental in the foundation of this here African American Cultural Center, as she was a part of our steering committee from its inception. She and a lot of the literature that you see on our website, it's Sakkara, her photo memorialized on that. And also, she was a part of our governance committee and lended a very strong voice, not just to what it is that we're doing today, but for a very long time.
So Sakkara is beautiful in so many ways. You know you've been around a while when you can say that you go back 30 years with somebody. Sakkara and our relationship started with Dembe Bra, drum and dance, when her babies, I call them her babies, they're grown men now, but when her boys were little, I remember Sakkara came to us in a meeting, Dembe Bra, and she said, "I'm going to hand you my boys, and I want you to teach them to drum." And all the brothers were sitting around, and she was serious. She was serious. So anytime Sakkara stepped up, she didn't step halfway, she stepped full tilt. So if you've ever seen Queens of the Nile, that is the evolution, not just of something beautiful, of garments put together, but that's deep research that was put in to putting that together.
Yes.
And Sakkara ran Queens of the Nile all over Southern California. And I am proud to say that when I see her boys drumming today, it does touch my heart. So Sakkara, our revolutionary who laid to rest this year, we want to give you 30 seconds of silence as a tribute, which is, I wish we could give so much more. But
yes.
Let us all give our Queen sister Sakkara 30 seconds of silence in remembrance of the power that she continues to walk in as an ancestor. Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. At this time, we're going to transition and we're going to move to our candle lighting ceremony. And I wanted to have the opportunity to introduce this family, the Jackson family, personally, because Darren Jackson, the father of this family, and his 4 children, Darren Jr., Zarian, Tyron, and Lachey. I wanted to introduce them because sometimes we have incredible individuals in our midst, and we don't even see when they are with us. I go back once again, almost 30 years with this brother. Darren Jackson is from Long Beach. His family is from Long Beach, but he is a platinum recording engineer who has worked with such luminaries as Bootsy Collins. He's worked with James Brown. He did a platinum album with Snoop, and they go back to their childhood here. Actually, he did a couple of platinum albums. The one that I'm more proud of is his work with the Isley Brothers. That's just me.
Okay.
But this is our local talented brother, and he's going to be doing the candle lighting ceremony for us tonight. So I'm going to hand this over to him, and I'm going to let him take his family through this. And I want you to listen carefully. There is no way we can touch on the depth of the Nguzo Saba in the little bit of time that we have. But Darren, we're all proud of you, brother. And
Yes.
take it away. Show them how it's done.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our home. And we're going to talk about the ingathering of the Matunda ya Kwanzaa, which means the first fruit. Kwanzaa is celebrated all across the African diaspora, and it's actually symbolic of the first fruit gatherings that naturally occur. That's a part of our natural culture, right? And so, and when we do this, we have 7 symbols that we use. And the first, we're going to talk about the mazao, because you can't have a first fruit gathering without a harvest. And we have fruits and vegetables, and it's very important. And we put them in something that also comes from the motherland. So this is a gourd that I got from Africa. And it represents the good of the community when we come together. Then we have the mkeka, which is right here, is the mat. And that's also, we get it from the motherland, and that serves as the foundation. We put things on the mkeka, and because even the tallest building has to be built on a great foundation, right? Then we have the kanara. And the kanara is important because it holds our principles, our Ngozo Saba. So these hold up our principle. So it also represents our motherland, right? Then we have the muhindi, which is right here, which is the corn. And the corn represents our children. And so for every child in the house, we put an ear of corn. And then for the rest of the community, we also add an extra ear of corn. If you have no children, you still put an ear of corn, because we're talking about a community. And the children are important because the children are our future. The children will carry our legacy farther into the future. It's our hope, it's our dreams, it's our strength, and it's the pillars. That's what we build upon. Very important stuff here. And then because we talk about our children, we also give what we call zawadi, right? And zawadi is gifts that we give our children. And we try to give them good edifying gifts. So we give them a book that explains their culture, our history. And so the book I'm giving them is this book right here about Kwanzaa, because it's something that they can reference and build on and remember what Kwanzaa is. And then I'm also giving them a piece of jewelry that comes from the motherland. I got this from Village Treasure, Max's shop. And I'm giving them a little flag. It's a cloth, but it's actually a map of Africa. It has all the countries on there, so they could put this up and see what all the countries in Africa are. Then, as you've seen earlier, we also give libation. And they put the Kukombe Cha Moja. It's the unity cup. And we put water in this, right? And then we share this cup, and this is basically for our ancestors, you know, the people that came before us, and we give libation to them. And then finally, for our 7th temple, we have the Mushumba Saba. These are 7 candles. There's 1 candle for each principle. We have a black candle, then we have 3 red candles and 3 green candles. And then we have some supplemental symbols that you will find. And so, like I said, the 7 principles, we have a poster of that, the Ngozo Saba. We put that up so that the children can see these principles, memorize them, become familiar with them. And then we have the Bandera Ya Taifa. And as you see, that's on this table. That's the flag that was created by Marcus Garvey. And Tyron, can you tell us about this flag?
Oh, yeah. So this flag, it represents 3 things. The 3 colors represent 3 things. The red is for the bloodshed, the black is for the people, and the green is for the land that we utilize equal.
Okay. And then I also place books upon the table. So you have to be the example for your children. You have to feed them things that's going to make them grow or help them grow. And so what we feed them is knowledge. And so we get knowledge of books that are important to us, to our culture and our history. And you know the books that's important to your family. And you place them on your table so that the children can see them, hopefully pick them up and read them book. And also when I talked about the mazao, you also want them to eat these too. These are not just decorations. So they could come here and grab a banana, orange, or apple. Okay. Now, the next phase, we want to illuminate our principles. So we're going to light them. That's why we light the candles, to shed light and illuminate these principles so that they become important to us. And so our 7 principles, we're going to have Lachey say the principle, and then we're going to repeat it after her. And then I'm going to have somebody light the candle. So Lachey, the first principle.
Umoja.
Umoja.
Unity.
And I'm going to light the unity candle. And we talk about unity. We're talking about unity in our family, and unity in our community, unity in our nation, and then unity with our people as a whole. Right? Now we're going to the second principle, Lachey.
Could you Chagulia.
Kujichagulia.
Self-determination.
Is Ryan would tell us light the candle for that.
So that basically means to speak for yourself, create for ourselves, define ourselves and name ourselves instead of being named, defined, spoken for, and created for by others.
A third principle?
Ujamaa.
Ujamaa.
Cooperative economics.
Ujima.
Ujima. So let's try to say Ujima.
Ujima.
Ujima. Go ahead, Ryan.
So Ujima basically means to build and maintain our community and make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together.
At the top, not on the, yeah.
There we go.
Good. So now we have 3 candles lit. You notice we first light the black one, and then we go from red to green, red to green, red to green. And you know, each candle represents a certain thing. So what happened earlier was Ryan was like, no, that's not the right virtue because Ryan know what candle he wants to light. And so this candle was what?
Umoja.
The first candle.
Umoja.
I know, everybody say it together. Umoja. And then after that, we did the next candle was what?
Kujichagulia.
Kujichagulia. And then the next candle was what?
Ujima.
Ujima.
Ujiba.
All right, good job. So now we're going to do our 4th principle, Lachey.
Ujamaa.
Ujamaa. And Tyron's going to tell us about that.
Ujamaa. That basically means to build and maintain stores and businesses that you create and make profit from them and do them together.
And our 5th principle?
Nia.
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 Wait, Lachey.
Purpose.
Okay.
Nia is the collective vocation, the building and developing of our community, and to fulfill it to its former traditional greatness.
Kuumba.
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 So Kuumba is our 6th principle, and Darren is telling you about that.
Kuumba means to do as much as you can for your community to make it better, to make it more beautiful and more beneficial than you inherited it.
Okay. So Kuumba means what, Lachey?
Creativity.
Creativity. Good. Okay. And for the 7th and final principle, Lachey?
Imani.
Imani.
It means faith.
Good.
Imani means to have faith in your parents, your teachers, and your leaders, and have the righteousness and the victory of your problems.
No problem, bruh. A victory over what?
Struggle.
There's a difference. Okay. That's 7th principle. When we say struggles, we're not talking about suffering or problems. We're talking about our efforts to get our freedom and our cultural life back. So this I want to make sure, because I was talking to my son here. We're not talking about people having problems. No, we're putting on a good fight. You know, we're trying to overcome and achieve and excel. So we're not having problems. We struggles as far as that movement going forward with what you put into it. Okay, so now that we illuminated our principles and everybody understands what they mean, we like to close with a tradition called the Harambes, the 7 Harambes. Is Ryan going to explain that to us?
Because the 7 Harambes basically means to come together or to pull together. And we start that off with Haram, hands in the air, palm facing outwards. Close it off with Bay, face clenched, arm down. And do 7 of those. And on the last one, hold us for as long as we can. We're going to do it together.
Harambe, 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 And with that, we would like to thank you for coming into our home and sharing our first fruit gathering, our Kwanzaa, with my family.
Thank you, Jackson family, for that candle lighting. Such an important part. Thank you for teaching us. Thank you for sharing us with us. And thank you for welcoming us into your home for that special tradition. And next up, I have the honor of introducing our co-host, my co-host for this Kwanzaa celebration, Baba the Storyteller. He is a treasure. He is our local griot, and he's world traveled, just recently returning from Africa and Europe. And he is one of the few practitioners, recognized practitioner, US born, that is celebrating and sharing the ancient West African storytelling craft known as Jalia. He's received numerous awards as a folklorist, a traditional harpist, and in our community, he's a community activist and does a lot of volunteer work as well. He presents at schools, and I first met Baba, I believe, in Lamar Park at SO1, as I heard the sound of his instruments before I heard the beautiful words that he shared. Storytelling is such a rich tradition that we have, and we have to continue to recognize our traditions and our griots. And I want to present to you Baba the Storyteller.
Tete kumala. Tete kumala. Mani makula nungo man tete kumala. Nizirin kula nungo. Inana bunyu kuja bola nungo le tete kumala. Tete kumala. Tete kumala. There was once a village where the people were very famous for, well, being farmers, what they could grow. It was said that in this village, the people could simply drop a seed onto the ground and, well, it would grow whatever was meant to grow from that seed. One morning, the people of this village, they woke up, and when they walked outside, they noticed something. An entire field of corn was gone. It was missing. The people, they wondered what could have taken an entire field of corn so silently in the dead of the night? Well, the king said, we're gonna have to find out because this cannot continue to happen. The next morning, the same thing. The people woke up, and when they went out, an entire field of squash gone. The king decided that the people needed to stay up through the night to figure out what was happening, to try to catch whomever this thief was. Well, the people stayed up all night long, and it was probably about 3 in the morning, when everyone was feeling really tired, that they heard this loud sound coming from the sky. Everyone ran outside, including the king, to see what was producing this loud sound. And when they looked up into the sky, it was a humongous bird, a giant bird. The bird flew down from the sky, opened its huge mouth, and scooped up an entire field of cabbage and flew off. The king said, we must follow that bird, follow the bird. They followed the giant bird out into a baobab forest, and when they got there, the bird ascended into, and was lost into the foliage of that huge tree. When the people returned to the village, the king said, we must do something about this. If this bird continues to take all of our crops, we will be decimated, we will be ruined as a village. The king thought long and hard, and then he came up with an idea. Yes, I do know what to do. I will gather together all of the strong men of the village, and they will go and chop down that tree. And when they chop down the tree, the bird will have to leave, find a home somewhere else. So the king called the strong men of the village together, and they agreed they would chop down the tree. They took their axes and their sharp implements, and they headed to the tree. Kavering papa nata jang, the luda jani koja, all jagana, the kumala, kavering papa nata jang, the luda jani koja, all jagana. Manima kuala lungoma, the kumala, nizin kuala lungo, inana monyo kuja, wola lungo le, the kumala. Well, the strong men of the village, they began chopping at that tree, and as they were chopping, they heard something. It was a sound that came from the tree. It sounded like this. It went, tige tige bala konen fen kagalamanjang. Kaju go bala konen fen kagalamanjang tige tige. This sound, it was the sound of the bird from the tree. It made the strong men's hearts grow big and their hands grow weak. They dropped their sharp implements and they went back to the village. When the king saw the strong men of the village returning, he said, oh, the strong men have made quick work of that tree. They have chopped it down. And the strong men, they said, no, we did not chop down the tree, Your Highness. And the king said, but why not? They said, the song of the bird is too beautiful. You must find someone else to chop down the tree. So the king, he sat there wondering, if the strong men cannot chop down the tree, then who must I call on? Who would be able to do it? And the longer the king thought, the more hopeless he felt, until finally an idea came to him. He thought to himself, why did I not think of this in the beginning? Yes, I should have called on the strong women of the village. They would have had that tree chopped down by now. So the king called on the strong women of the village, and when they came together, they said, yes, we will chop it down. And the strong women, they went to the tree, and they began chopping as hard as they could and as strong into that tree when they heard a sound coming from up in the tree. It sounded like this. Tige tige bala konen fen kagalamajang. The strong women's hearts grew big, their hands grew weak, fell down by their sides, and they returned to the village. When they returned to the village, the king, he was overjoyed. He said, I knew I could trust the strong women to handle the job. They have chopped down the tree. And the strong women said, no, Your Highness, we did not. And the king said, but why not? And the strong women said, Your Highness, the song of the bird is too beautiful. You must find someone else to chop down the tree. The king, he sat there crying into his hands. There was no one left. There were children off playing in the distance who, when they saw the king crying, they came to him. They asked the king why he was crying, and the king said, the bird is stealing all of our crops, and soon our village will die if we can't do something. I sent the strong men to chop down the tree. They could not do it. I sent the strong women to chop down the tree. They could not do it. There was no one left. And then it was at this point, yes, you know, the children said, we'll do it. And the king said, but you are only children. What could you possibly do? If the strong men could not chop down the tree, and the strong women could not chop down the tree, how can you little children do anything? The children said, leave it to us. We will chop down the tree. Well, the children, they went to the tree. And no, they weren't as strong as the strong men or as strong as the strong women, but they picked up the axes and implements and they began chopping best they could. When they heard a sound come from up in the tree, it sounded like this. Tige tige bala konen enfen kagalamanjang. Kajugo and go bala konen enfen kagalamanjang. Tige tige. The children, when they heard this fascinating sound, they looked up, they looked around at each other, they said, did you hear that? But when the children heard the sound, they did something different, something the strong men had not done, something the strong women had not done. When the children heard the song, they began to sing back. Every time the birds sang, the children would sing back. The children enjoyed this so much that they made a game out of it. They chopped to the rhythm of the singing of the bird and their call and response and singing back. Every time the bird sing, they would chop. Now, I don't know if you know this about children, but children can literally play for hours on end, all day if you allow them. Well, these children played at the singing of the song and the back and the forth and the chopping and the cutting and the sawing. And after, well, some hours, the tree fell. And that humongous bird, it flew up out of the tree and away to find a home somewhere else. The children, they went back to the village. And as they walked back, they were singing their new song. And when the king saw them, he shook his head. He said to himself, I knew I could not rely on children. Look at them, they're coming back and they're playing. I know they did not chop down the tree. And the children said, yes, we did. And the king said, but you're playing. How were you able to chop down the tree? And the children said, because. And this is important to understand. The children said, those who work together should also be able to play together. And if we can play together and work together, we can accomplish anything. Tete kumala. Kabering papa mata jang, velula jane koja wolu jagana. Tete kumala. Kabering puju nata jang, velula jane koja wolu jagana. Mani makuela nungo ma, tete kumala. Yijirin kuela nungo, inala bunyo kuja wolu nungo le, tete kumala. Tete kumala.
Wow, Baba, thank you. Thank you for your song and your talents that you give to us, just to know that we have a griot right here in our city, world traveled. Thank you for sharing your gifts and your talents with us. And we look forward to having you in the African American Cultural Center, storytelling and teaching our community. With that, I'd like to introduce another community group that comes right out of Long Beach, Dembe Bra, who and Sister Master Teacher Indela, who's been teaching for many, many years out of Homeland Cultural Center here in Long Beach, and teaching us West African, traditional West African drum and dance. And with that, we look forward to bringing them into the Cultural Center as well. So here we are with Dembe Bra. Wow. That was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So, Baba.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, more than you're welcome. The drumming set me off. I had to rush back to my chair. I was off dancing. So sorry about that.
Yes, yes. So with that, I want to take a minute to just recognize a few people and thank you all for coming in. We're going to pass this over in a brief second to Phaedra, but I want to recognize that Brother Adisa is in, he's here today, the husband of Sakkara, with his 96-year-old mother. She's our Elder Renee Anderson. So thank you for being here. I know Taharka, their son, was here earlier. And I just wanted to make sure that we recognize everyone. I wish I had the time to say thank you to everyone, but I just wanted to point out those individuals. And Sister Indela, Master Teacher, she's here as well. And thank you. So
I want to make sure before we go, remember Resident Griot always has to add a little extra.
Yeah.
Because Adisa is a very humble brother, and he tends to try to play things in the background when most of the time he should be up front. But I'm going to put this out because I want everyone to know his greatness and what he's capable of. If you get the opportunity, I want all of you to look up a film called Daughters of the Dust.
Oh, Julie Dash. Okay.
You know that film? There's a brother playing lead in that film, and I think you might recognize him from our community. Yeah, I'm telling on you, Adiza. I'm talking about you, brother. So our brother is the lead in that film. So I want you to look that film up, and I want you to see the greatness that lives among us here. So I just had to put that in. Sorry about that.
Let me jump in very quickly because Renee Anderson is very special to me. Renee Anderson was our mom growing up in San Pedro, along with Adisa, his brothers, and she kept us in line. A number of us, as diminutive as she was a challenge for us to make sure that we walked a straight line. I love her. She represents so much to so many of us who grew up in San Pedro with Adisa and his family. So hello, Mrs. Anderson. And I love you very much for all that you've done to help us move forward in our lives. You were a treasure to so many of us growing up in San Pedro. God bless you.
Ashe.
Ashe. And with that, we'd like to turn it over to our chair of the programming committee, Phaedra Allen.
Yes, hi.
Gonna have some words. There you go.
Yeah, thank you, Phaedra.
Thank you, everyone. I don't know if you're feeling what I feel, but my heart is full. Is anyone else feeling that? This was wonderful, wonderful. Host, but also an excellent storyteller. Thank you so much for walking us through that experience. Mandisa and Ajumu for, again, just the wonderful song, the Black National Anthem. Some of you are familiar with that as well. The Jackson family for walking us through the And also, again, the beautiful libation that Max and Femi walked us through. The Djembe Bra drumming and dancing, which we had a chance to, get excited and hear some of towards the end of our programming. And also the wonderful tribute to Sister Sakkara. And, again, it was a very small way to honor her legacy here in the city of Long Beach. But, again, thank you so much for being a part of that this evening. I'd also just want to acknowledge all of our board members here who are on the call. Again, we have both our chair and co-chair, Dr. Felton Williams and Tasha Hunter. We also have Minnie Douglas, Farah Khaliji. We have Judy Seals, Jazz McGee, who is also chair of the technology committee, who's been keeping us supported this evening with her committee, who consists of Angela Dickens, who's also on the call. Thank you so much for all your work this evening. Charles Brown, Raymond Quarles, Monty Beard, Sharon McLucas, Sharon Diggs Jackson, Laverne Duncan, again, Max Viltz and Errol Parker. And I know some of you all are familiar with these names. These are some heavy hitters here in the Long Beach community who have been working really, really hard to bring this organization forward. And we're really hoping that you will be proud of the work that we have been doing over this past year. I'd also like to acknowledge the programming committee. That is Miss Raquel Kitchen Welch, who's on the call here, Charles Brown, Minnie Douglas, Femi Viltz, and Jackie Quarles for also their time in bringing forth programming. Again, we are looking forward to engaging our community in more programming, rich discussions, workshops, exhibits as we move into 2021. So we are hoping that you stay connected with us, stay involved with us. And again, we are building this to honor each and every last one of you, as well as our ancestors. And so we are hoping that you will continue to join us. Thank you all again for joining us for tonight's Kwanzaa celebration. And
I would like to introduce Emma Ogimwanye.
Oh,
she's right here from Harvard.
She
was born in St. Mary's Hospital. She's first generation and also a titled Uze Bibi Negba of the Bini people. And I hope you'll all learn about Igwe, Iselogbe, Wawenya, and learn about the great country of Nigeria and all the wonderful cultures in West Africa. Very important. We have a huge Nigerian population here, and we need to embrace them and the whole diaspora people. Very important.
Yes,
And
thank you. Thank you.
That's Norma Rosen, who's done a lot of work at the Watts Towers and has spent some time in West Africa and was very pivotal in our roundtable. So thank you, Sister Norma, for being present and for introducing your daughter. Congratulations on that, Harvard.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. With that, I just want to wish you all a wonderful evening and a very happy New Year's. Thank you so much. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
Ashe.
you.
Ashe.
Ashe. I see the Ballards. I see Brother Yaya. I see Mr. Parker. Yes. We're going to hang out for the next 10 minutes. Yes. Hey, Barbara Sullivan. Oh, she left us.
Who's manning the recording?
That is being done by Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan. For those of you still here, I'm going to let you know the AACCLB is launching a YouTube channel, and this video will live there. It'll be up in the next week. Check our social media, our Instagram page, Jazz McGee, our technology chair, will put in the chat what our Instagram is, but all that information will be there if you want to go back and take a look at this event in the future and share. We need to make sure we're sharing this with those to get to know what Kwanzaa is and what the AACCLB is doing. Hi, Robbie Butler.
Just a quick word to the program committee. Great job, folks. Excellent work. And could have been better. Excellent job.
Beautiful.
Thank you, one and all.
What is the meaning of ACCLB?
African.
Cultural Center of Long Beach.
Thank you, Ballard.
African American Cultural Center of Long Beach.
Show our video. Great job, committee.
Yes. Thank you to the Ballard.
2021.
That's
Good
right.
seeing you, Tasha. You look fabulous.
Nicole Ballard is the president of our African American Heritage Society here in the city of Long Beach. And Brother Ballard is a pivotal person in us teaching our children, our young people, all people about our African and African American history. So good to see you. Good to see you.
Much love, all.
Kiss those boys.
We will. You do the same. See you.
Peace, y'all. So
the video production world is littered with mediocrity. An endless sea void of talent. But once in a while, a light shines through, taking the game to a whole new level. For all your production needs, visit edityourvideo.com.